Single mom's heartwarming mistake texts billionaire for baby formula. What happened next is incredible. Emma stared at her phone, tears blurring the words on the screen. The day had been brutal. Juggling her 2 jobs while managing a lively toddler, Lily, left her worn thin. Rent was due and the bills were piling up like snowdrifts, threatening to bury her alive. With a shaky breath, she typed out a desperate plea for baby formula, her heart pounding from both exhaustion and desperation. She didn't realize that her frantic message was sent not to her friend but to Ronald, a billionaire who was worlds away. As Ronald read Emma's text, a cross between confusion and intrigue washed over him. Here was a woman, a single mom, in an unimaginable struggle, reaching out in a way he never expected. Instead of brushing it off, he found himself responding. And thus began an unexpected texting relationship that neither anticipated. Through late-night exchanges they shared dreams and fears, bridging a chasm wider than their income levels. Emma's resilience resonated with Ronald, offering him warmth in his otherwise cold and opulent life. One night after a particularly exhausting dinner shift, Emma wrote, "Sometimes I feel like I'm drowning." Ronald, feeling the weight of his own loneliness, surprised himself by replying, "You're stronger than you think." And just like that, their messages became lifelines, moments of connection amidst busy lives and oppressive realities. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Their conversations deepened as the days turned to weeks. Emma confided in Ronald about her battles with self-doubt, while he opened up about the hollowness of wealth. He'd grown up with everything yet had always felt neglected. Their lives, as dissimilar as they seemed, shared a common thread, seeking fulfillment in a world that often overlooked them. But with any growing relationship, a misunderstanding loomed. After Ronald decided to surprise Emma with a visit, the stark realities of her neighborhood hit him hard. The struggling families, children playing on cracked sidewalks, dreams simmering in a pot of hardship, they stung him with painful realizations. In one moment, Emma's insecurities flared, misinterpreting Ronald's concern as pity. Words flew back and forth, sharp and unyielding. "Maybe you don't really understand," she shot back, her heart racing. Ronald felt his chest tighten with confusion. Their connection clashed against their realities, leaving an ache that lingered like a wound. Just as hope sparked between them, misunderstandings threatened to unravel everything they had built. Would Emma find the strength to forgive Ronald and embrace what they had? Or would he retreat back to the safety of his gilded cage, too afraid to confront the raw truth of life outside his bubble? The clock ticked, and the air hung thick with uncertainty, leaving readers breathless for what would come next. The morning light filtered through the worn curtains of Emma's small apartment, illuminating a world still shrouded in tension. She felt the weight of the night's argument sit heavy on her shoulders. After Ronald's visit, their heartfelt connection seemed to dissolve into a fog of misunderstandings and hurt. Lily, blissfully unaware of her mother's turmoil, screeched in delight, reaching for the stuffed bunny on the floor. Emma smiled at her daughter's innocence but found it harder to shake off her own worries. How could she explain her lingering sadness to a child so young? She collected herself, forcing a bubbly cheer that her daughter deserved. "Okay, sweet pea, let us get you some breakfast," Emma said, masking her feelings with enthusiasm. As they moved through their morning routine, she replayed their argument in her mind, questioning everything. Ronald had seen her world, the struggles, the laughter, and somehow the gap felt bigger now. It felt like they were standing on opposite sides of a chasm. The thought tightened her chest. Taking a deep breath, Emma picked up her phone, glancing at Ronald's contact. Should she reach out? Part of her urged to call, but the other half was scared of further disappointment. As she turned to pour some cereal for Lily, her phone buzzed, causing her heart to skip a beat. It was Ronald. "Can we talk?" The text read, simple yet loaded. Emma hesitated, her fingers hovering over the screen. Should she let it go or take the leap back into that uncertain space they had carved out for one another? After what felt like an eternity, she typed back, okay. Soon they were on a call, Ronald's voice filling her with a mix of hope and trepidation. Emma, he started, his tone softer than she remembered. I'm really sorry about how things ended yesterday. I never meant for you to feel that I was judging you. I can't have anyone feeling sorry for me, Ronald. My life is hard, but it's mine. I don't need pity, she responded, her voice steady yet strained. I know. I get that now, he admitted. I thought coming to see you would help bridge that gap, but I see it didn't. I came from a different world, and I'm slowly learning what that means for us. His words struck a chord deep within her. They weren't just talk. They were the uncomfortable truths of their realities, colliding in a way that was raw yet strangely comforting. Maybe I should have been more open too, Emma replied, feeling a flicker of control over her emotions return. I just want to protect Lily and myself, you know? I respect that, Emma. I'm not trying to change your world. I want to understand it. Something in the honesty of that statement resonated with her. Their connection hadn't vanished. It merely felt lost in the shuffle of their different lives. As they talked, the warmth began to seep back into their conversation. The easy laughter returned, slowly dismantling the walls they'd unconsciously built. By the end of the call, Emma felt lighter, a mixture of hope and determination infusing her spirit. Yet, in the back of her mind lingered the question of whether they could truly bridge the world between them. Would they truly accept one another? Ronald broke through her thoughts. So, can I come by again? Emma hesitated. Did she trust him enough to open the door again? Let us take it slow, she finally said, the uncertainty hanging in the air. Just then, Lily let out a hearty giggle, drawing both their attention. Emma smiled as she looked at her daughter, and Ronald chuckled softly. The innocence in that laughter seemed to be the unspoken bond they shared through all the messiness. Love always persevered. But would love be enough to overcome their differences? Or would they spiral into the mistakes of the past? With that nagging thought, Emma hung up the phone, her heart dancing on the edge of hope and wariness. What would their next conversation hold? Each decision felt heavier than the last, and uncertainty loomed like a thick fog hanging over a familiar path. Tomorrow was filled with possibilities, yet Emma couldn't shake the feeling that it might all fade away before her eyes. As the day trudged on, Emma found it hard to concentrate. The images of Lily laughing intertwining with Ronald's voice weighed heavily on her mind. It was one of those days where time seemed to slip through her fingers. She tried to redirect her focus to the tasks at hand, cleaning the apartment, planning a simple dinner, but every corner held a reminder of their conversation. Mommy, can we go to the park today? Lily asked, her bold blue eyes lighting up with excitement. Emma's heart melted at the simple joy reflected in her daughter's gaze. But an unsettling apprehension gripped her. Sure, sweetie, she replied, forcing a smile. How about after lunch? The park would be a distraction, both for her and Lily. It offered fresh air, laughter, and the chance to escape the tangled web of emotions hanging over her. Once they arrived at the park with the sun shining brightly overhead, Emma watched as Lily ran toward the playground, her laughter ringing out like music. It was infectious. Emma couldn't help but chuckle as she followed her daughter, who immediately climbed onto the swings, her legs kicking in pure joy. Push me, Mommy. Lily squealed, reaching out for her mother's hand with each gentle push. Emma felt a sense of peace washing over her. It was in these small moments of motherhood that she found solace. The worry of her connection with Ronald faded, if only a little, replaced by the pure love she felt for her child. But as she pushed, her mind drifted back to him, the sincerity in his voice, the way he seemed to genuinely want to grasp her reality. What if they really could find a way to communicate better? Just then Lily shouted, "Look, Mommy." She pointed to another child who had brought a puppy to the park. The sight sent a pang of longing through Emma. She remembered Ronald's playful charm, how he had once made her feel special and understood in a world that often felt so isolating. After some more swinging, Lily suggested, "Can we get ice cream?" Emma glanced at the time. They still had a bit of sunlight left in the day. Absolutely, she grinned, knowing Lily's love for mint chocolate chip would make any mundane day feel like magic. As they headed toward the ice cream stand, her phone chimed again, pulling her attention away from the laughter and joy. Taking a deep breath, she opened the text. It was from Ronald. "Thinking of you both. Hope you're having fun at the park." Could he really care? A flutter of hope swelled in her chest. She decided to reply, "Just got ice cream. Lily's loving it." The seconds ticked by painfully as she awaited a response, wondering if this connection they were trying to rebuild was worth the risk. Would he understand the mix of joy and uncertainty flooding her each day? Just then, another message appeared, lighting up her screen. "Can I meet you there? I want to see both of you." Her heart raced. This was the moment she had been dreading and yearning for all at once. What would happen if they reunited in the backdrop of the park? In a world where everything felt simpler. "Okay, see you soon," she typed back, her fingers trembling as she put the phone away. She looked at Lily, who was lost in a world of scoops and sprinkles. Could this meeting change everything? What if he felt the same connection once they were reunited? But underneath the thrill surged an unease. Would their differences swallow them whole, like shadows creeping into the light? With sticky fingers and an ounce of hope, Emma headed toward the park's bench, ready for whatever lay ahead. Would this encounter define their future together? Or would it be just another misstep in a complicated dance? And as she shared an ice cream smile with Lily, the future shimmered just out of reach, a mix of hope and fear hanging in the balance. Would both love and reason draw them closer together, or pull them apart entirely? The sun hung low, painting the park in warm hues as Emma settled onto the bench, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and anxiety. Lily continued to lick her ice cream, her expression blissful and carefree, a stark contrast to Emma's turbulent thoughts. She stole glances at the path leading to them, her mind racing with questions. What would Ronald say? Would he think everything felt normal again? The vibrant sounds of laughter and play filled the air. Yet Emma felt a bubble of apprehension brewing inside her. She had imagined this moment countless times, yet nothing could prepare her for the real thing. "Mommy, look. That little girl has a unicorn float," Lily exclaimed, her eyes wide with wonder. Emma smiled at her daughter, grateful for the distraction. It was hard not to be wrapped up in Lily's innocence. The joy of childhood was so pure, so unwavering. But would the dream of finding that same happiness with Ronald remain elusive? As the minutes ticked by, Emma got lost in thought, the thrill of the impending reunion dulled by her swirling concerns. Would their differences clash? Or would they find a way to bridge the gap? Could they redirect the hurt they both felt, reshaping it into something that could last? "Mommy, I'm done." Lily's voice snapped Emma from her reverie. She looked at her daughter, a pile of napkins and empty cone left behind. "Can we play now?" "Of course. Let us have some fun," Emma replied, forcing herself to mirror Lily's enthusiasm. They ran toward the playground, joined in mutual laughter. But every joyful squeal brought to mind the arrival of the man who had once shared a world with her. And then she saw him. Ronald strolled towards them, his tall frame moving with a confidence that used to send her heart racing. The world seemed to slow as he approached. His expression was softer than she remembered, eyes searching for hers amidst the chaos of children and play. "Hey there," he said, sounding almost shy. Emma's heart skipped a beat, caught off guard by how that simple greeting could stir so many emotions within her. "Hi," she managed to reply, her voice barely above a whisper. The last time they had seen each other was filled with so much unspoken tension. What made this time so different? Lily dashed over, oblivious to the thick air of unsaid feelings. "Hi, you want to play with us?" She beamed, pulling on Ronald's hand. He looked down, his expression warming at the sight of her, yet Emma could perceive a flicker of uncertainty in his gaze as he caught Emma's eye again. "I'd love to," he replied, kneeling to match Lily's height. "What do you want to play?" For a moment, they were enveloped in the innocent joy of a three-player game. Laughter bubbled up as they engaged in Lily's wild imagination, running from invisible monsters, or playing make-believe in a pirate ship. But as she watched them, Emma was acutely aware of the fragility of this moment. It felt as though she was standing on uncertain ground, balancing on the precarious edge of hope. Would this fleeting happiness turn into something more? Or was it bound to slip through her fingers again? Just then Ronald caught her eye, the game fading into the background. "Can we talk?" he asked, the question hanging heavily in the air. Emma's heart thudded violently in response. She nodded slowly, feeling the tension creep back into her chest. The playful laughter of their daughter felt miles away suddenly. Sure, as they stepped away from the playground, a wave of apprehension washed over Emma. Did they have the strength to confront their past? Would their conversation bring them closer together? Or push them further apart? The immediate world around them faded as they stepped into a bubble of their own. Would the next moments unravel old wounds or weave something new? Emma drew a shaky breath, the gravity of the conversation looming like a shadow ready to burst into light or darkness. What would they say next, and how would it redefine their fragile bond? They walked a few paces until they reached a quieter corner of the park, the sounds of children playing fading into a gentle background hum. Emma's heart raced, a mixture of dread and anticipation swirling inside her. It felt surreal, the air thick with everything they had never said. All the hurt and the love caught up between them like an unseen thread. Ronald turned to face her, his brow slightly furrowed, and for a moment they stood silently. The world around them seemed to hold its breath. "I've missed you," he finally said, his voice low. Emma's chest tightened. "I missed you too," she replied, her voice steady against the tremor of her emotions. It was strange to admit, but the words felt liberating, as if she had lifted a weight off her shoulders. "Things have been hard," he continued, running a hand through his hair. "I'm not really sure where we stand," she nodded, biting her lip. "I feel the same way. I want us to talk, to really talk. But I'm scared, what if we make it worse?" His expression softened. "I don't want that either. I just know that it feels different since I've been away. I want to understand what you're feeling, what you need." Emma's breath caught. The sincerity in his voice touched something deep within her. She wanted to let her guard down, but the memories of their disagreements crowded back into her mind. "I think we both need a little something. I'm not sure what it is yet, but I can't ignore the connection we still have." Ronald stepped closer, his eyes searching hers. "I don't want to rush anything. But can we try to rebuild? I want to be here for you and Lily if you'll let me." A flurry of emotions battled within her. Could she really let him back into their lives after everything? Even the thought felt daunting. "You're already here. You showed up," she said, her voice brave. "But there is so much to unpack. It won't be easy." "I know," he sighed, the weight of their shared history evident in his gaze. "But isn't it worth the risk?" Lily's happy laughter drifted closer, reminding Emma of their bright little world. She glanced back, seeing her daughter swing happily under the watchful eye of a few other parents. "Yes, it is," Emma answered, her voice firm now, laced with emerging hope. "I want to try. For us and for her." His expression shifted, relief and gratitude mixing. "Then let us take it one step at a time. We can start with each day, see where it leads." As they spoke, Emma felt the shadows of the past slowly shifting, the light of possibility breaking through. Together perhaps they could reshape what had been broken. "Okay," she said, a small smile creeping onto her face. "Let us do this." Just then, Ronald's phone buzzed, breaking the moment. He glanced at the screen, his face flickering. "Excuse me a second," he stepped aside, and Emma's heart raced with renewed energy. Maybe this was the turning point. Maybe they could find their way back. But as she watched him talk quietly, a thousand questions swirled in her mind. What if there were things he wasn't ready to share? What if the past haunted them in ways they couldn't foresee? As Ronald returned his full attention back to her, Emma caught a glimpse of the future, a tangled web of hope intertwined with the lingering shadows of doubt. "Are you ready?" he asked, a hopeful gleam in his eye. More than ever, she breathed, but deep down she wondered, was she truly ready to risk it all again, knowing how fragile their bond could be? As the park glimmered around them, she felt old wounds stir, preparing to complicate their journey anew. What secrets hovered in the air, waiting to be revealed? Could they handle the truth? The moment lingered, electric yet charged with uncertainty. Emma forced herself to focus on Ronald's face, trying to read the complexities of his emotions. The hopeful gleam in his eyes was interrupted by a tightness in his jaw as he pocketed his phone. Clearly the call hadn't been good news. "What was that about?" she asked, trying to keep her tone light, but the sudden heaviness made her nervous. Ronald hesitated. "Work," he said almost too quickly. She could see the evasiveness in his gaze, and it stirred old insecurities buried deep in her heart. "What kind of work?" she prompted, needing to plug the sudden gap between them. He let out a breath, almost resigning himself. "Just some complications with a project I'm overseeing, a little stressed, that's all." She nodded, though the knot in her stomach tightened. "Is it going to affect us? Your time with Lily?" With me. We'll figure it out, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. Emma wanted to believe him, but doubt crept in like a chill in the air. Ronald, she said softly, I need to know if you're really in this or if you're just. Her voice trailed off, the fear of being left behind creeping in. I am in this, he replied, stepping closer again, his presence warm and enveloping. I want to be part of you and Lily's lives. I promise to make it work no matter how hard it gets. She shifted slightly, trying to shake off the heaviness that kept interjecting itself between them. Okay, but that doesn't just go one way. I need to know that you're not just saying this because of how things were or how you think they should be. He nodded, acknowledging the stubbornness in her voice. I understand. It's just that since I've been away, everything makes so much more sense when I think about us, about what we could have. Maybe it's all too soon, she whispered, glancing over at Lily, who was now spinning in circles, her laughter mingling with the soft breeze. She deserves to have stability. Ronald reached for her hand, a tentative yet warm gesture. Let us focus on her then. We can start small, maybe spend more time together as a family? Emma felt her heart lighten, but the shadow of doubt loomed large. What if it doesn't work? What if every moment brings back the past? Then we learn from it, he interjected, sincerity etched on his face. Look, I know I hurt both of you. But this time I need to prove to you that I'm different. I can't promise perfection, but I can promise my best. Her heart fluttered. Ronald's words tasted just a bit sweet after all the bitterness. Could they really try again? Could they rewrite their story a page at a time? And it was right then that Emma heard a softer sound behind them, a new laughter, smaller yet louder than Lily's. Turning her head, she saw a little girl about 2 years old, with curls bouncing as she ran toward them. The girl tripped and fell, squealing with delight rather than distress. Mommy! She called, and Emma's breath hitched. It wasn't the child's smile that struck her but the mother who rushed behind. For a moment, Emma was frozen as she recognized the woman. Is that Ronald? Stammered. His face paled as the woman approached. The air turned thick and Emma's heart began beating faster. The past wasn't done with them yet, lurking right around the corner. What would this new encounter append in their tentative moment of hope? Ronald and Emma exchanged glances filled with dread. They had stepped forward, but now it felt like they were holding a shaky truce with the past. What impact would this unexpected reunion have on their budding plans? Would it tear apart their fragile bond? Or could it bring clarity they hadn't anticipated? The little girl skidded to a stop, looking up at Emma with wide, innocent eyes. She had chocolate smeared across her cheek, completely unaware of the tension weaving through the air. Behind her, the mother approached. Emma's heart raced as she fully processed the situation. Kayla! The woman exclaimed, hurriedly scooping up the young girl as if to shield her from whatever awkwardness hung between Emma and Ronald. Rachel, Ronald said quietly, voice barely rising above a whisper. Emma felt a wave of conflicting emotions wash over her. She'd heard Ronald mention Rachel before, his ex-girlfriend from years past. The woman looked just as beautiful as before, with a confident stride that betrayed no hint of the uncertainty Emma was wrestling with at that moment. Hi Ronald, Rachel smiled, but tension rippled in the air, warping her greeting. I didn't expect to see you here. What a small world, huh? Ronald replied, forcing a chuckle that didn't quite reach his eyes. Emma remained still, studying Rachel. This was not just a daughter. This was a reminder of everything that had once been, and the woman who stood in front of them. A ghost from Ronald's past. Mommy, can I have an ice cream? Kayla chirped, bouncing in Rachel's arms. Later, sweetie, Rachel said absently, her eyes darting between Emma and Ronald. Emma felt a subtle shift, an instinct to retreat, but she grounded herself. We were just spending some time together. Family day, she managed to say, her heart pounding as she tried to project confidence over her rising discomfort. Oh, that's nice, Rachel replied, her smile faltering a bit. I'm glad. I've seen Lily around the neighborhood. She's getting so big. Yeah, she is, Emma said, forcing a smile but feeling another layer of vulnerability peel back. We've been trying to make the most of our weekends. True, Ronald interjected, trying to find light in a dim situation. We're aiming for quality time, you know? Rachel nodded slowly, evaluating the moment. Emma felt a surge of competition rising within her, a need for affirmation. She wanted to be part of that conversation, to show Ronald she was not just a shadow of what had been. Kayla loves the park. Maybe we can all go together sometime? Rachel suggested casually, but the underlying implication was crystal clear. The thought of sharing any further time with Rachel twisted Emma's insides. That sounds nice, she conceded, feeling the words stick in her throat. Ronald glanced at her, a hint of concern fleeting across his features, but he didn't speak, choosing instead to focus on the little girl. How about we make it a picnic? Let our girls play together? The idea hung in the air, and Emma realized, despite the heaviness, the possibility of something fresh. Yeah, maybe that could work, Rachel agreed, clearly trying to smooth over the tension. The moment stretched, with tension forming an invisible thread connecting the three of them. Would this lead to something better, or were they inviting old wounds to fester again? Just then, Kayla tugged at Rachel's hair, giggling, and all eyes turned towards the child, momentarily breaking the weight of the past. She was the bridge, linking them in what could be an unexpected path toward healing. Emma could feel that familiar flicker of hope, the thought of creating new memories, even with the shadows of old ones lingering. But doubts flared again. Was this a moment of turning or just another spiral into uncertainty? As they navigated the small talk, sharing laughs over silly stories, Emma's heart began to race with potential, but at the same time dread gnawed at her thoughts. What if they were walking a tightrope with no safety net beneath? Ronald, Emma began but stopped. A glance at him showed a mixture of longing and strife. Could they stand strong against the current of their past? And just as that swell of hope built in her chest, she noticed Rachel shifting, her eyes softening as she turned toward Ronald, hinting at something unspoken between them. The fleeting tenderness in Rachel's expression made Emma's heart drop. What did that mean? For their future? Emma's palms felt clammy. They were standing at a crossroads, tensions crackling like static. Would the past consume them again, or could they find a way to build a new beginning? A jarring, piercing sound suddenly broke through. Emma turned to see the park's emergency alert system blinking ominously, echoing through the air. Everyone froze as the announcement blared across the crowd. What now? Emma whispered, dread pooling in her stomach again, urging her to brace for yet another upheaval as chaos loomed its beautiful yet terrifying head. The announcement cut through the air, sending a chill deep into Emma's bones. She searched Ronald's eyes, but all she saw was confusion mirrored back at her. The families around them began to scatter, children pulling at their parents' hands, eager to flee the park. Stay close, Kayla. Rachel called sharply as the little girl squirmed, tempted to run towards the nearby swings. Emma felt a surge of urgency. Let us get to safety, she blurted, instinctively wrapping her fingers around Lily's hand. Ronald nodded, eyes still wide, as they all swiftly moved toward the park's entrance. Do you think it's serious? He asked, glancing over his shoulder. Maybe a drill? Rachel replied, though her voice wavered just slightly. Emma's heart raced as they reached the gate, a knot tightening in her stomach. She wanted to believe it was nothing, just another overreaction. But the urgency etched on every face around them told a different story. Once outside the park grounds, the group settled on a grassy area where people began to gather, seeking clarity. Shouts and urgent murmurs flickered like flames in the wind. Emma felt a sudden sense of disbelief. Here they were, standing together, Ronald, Rachel, and Kayla, all brought together in a moment of chaos. Do you have your phone? Ronald asked, pulling out his own to check for updates. Emma quickly fished hers from her pocket, gripping it tightly. A few moments passed, filled with anxious silence as they waited for news. Emma's thoughts spiraled. This reunion had already been laced with unresolved feelings, and now, with the air thickening around them, she couldn't shake the fear of history repeating itself. Then Kayla, oblivious to the rising tensions, began to tell a story how she saw ducks waddle by while playing earlier. Her innocent smile broke through the gloom, tugging at Emma's heart. In that moment, she was a reminder of how love could bloom unexpectedly, even amid uncertainty. Despite herself, Emma smiled down at Kayla, but before she could respond, Rachel's phone buzzed with a text. Oh, thank goodness, she breathed. It's just a precaution. There was a brief incident reported nearby. Relief washed over the group, but before Emma could fully exhale, Rachel continued. They're asking everyone to stay calm and wait for official word. Looks like we'll be here a while longer. Great, Emma muttered, feeling the weight of the situation settle back onto her shoulders. Ronald leaned closer to Emma, lowering his voice just enough for only her to hear. Are you okay? I mean, with all this? Emma's heartbeat quickened, the vulnerability of the moment crashing over her. I don't know, she admitted, searching for the right words. The line between them felt blurrier than ever. Rachel, sensing the shift, pulled Kayla closer. Why don't we find some snacks? Just to keep the girls occupied? As soon as they turned to leave, Emma caught Ronald's gaze. In that pregnant pause, something hung in the air between them, a contemplation of what could be, regardless of the obstacles before them. Do you want to? He began, but was interrupted when Kayla, now distracted by the pigeons, darted ahead, pulling Rachel along with her. Let them go, Emma responded, grateful for the shift. We should check in with the others. As they moved to follow, the world felt both chaotic and beautifully still. Hope and dread danced within her. Could this experience be a bridge, not a barrier? Suddenly, Ronald's phone chimed again, breaking Emma's reverie. He looked at it, brow furrowing as he read. It's about the incident, but there's something else. What is it? Emma asked, curiosity piqued, and her heart racing anew. He hesitated, caught between her eyes and the screen as if weighing the gravity of what he had just read. Whatever it was, it could alter everything. What are you not telling me? Emma pressed, a mix of hope and fear fluttering in her chest, wondering if this was the moment that could change their lives forever. Ronald's hand shook slightly as he put the phone down. Emma could see a gray cloud pass over his expression, replacing the brief flicker of relief. He took a deep breath and shifted closer. There's been a string of suspicious activity near the park. They're telling everyone to stay put and wait for the police to clear the area. Emma's pulse quickened. She scanned the crowd, noticing the nervous energy pulsing through the gathered families. The voices were a mix of confusion and mounting panic. Children clung tightly to their parents. She felt a knot tightening in her chest. What kind of activity? She asked quietly. He hesitated, the weight of the words creating a heavy silence. They mentioned a couple of reports about shots fired. The air felt thin, electric. She could see it in his eyes. The worry for her, for Kayla, for the unpredictability of the day. No, it can't be. Emma shook her head as if her denial could ward off reality. They wouldn't do that here. Her thoughts swirled. Was she really going to let fear douse the flicker of hope she'd been silently rekindling between Ronald and herself? But then the frantic cries of a child nearby punctuated the uncertainty. A boy darted past them, his face stained with tears, calling for his mother. The sheer panic in the air seemed to seep into her bones, and she squeezed Lily's hand tighter. Maybe it is just a drill, a worst-case scenario that turned out to be nothing? She murmured more to herself than Ronald. Her throat felt tight. Optimism felt like a distant island, unreachable in this swirling storm of fear. Ronald reached out, placing a steadying hand on her shoulder, grounding her. Emma, I need you to be strong. We have to make sure the girls are safe. His sincerity held a promise that they would face whatever this was together. Right, she replied, trying to shake off her doubts. We should. Before she could finish, Rachel and Kayla returned, the little girl holding a colorful pack of fruit snacks. Kayla's face was bright and innocent, unaware of the storm swirling just beyond their bubble of safety. Look, Mommy. I got these for everyone. She chimed, oblivious to the looks exchanged between the adults. Rachel offered a tight smile, but Emma could see the tension under the surface. Thank you, sweetie, Emma said, her heart squeezing at the sight of Kayla's joy. She wished she could bottle it up, shield them all from the chaos threatening to encircle them. A distraction might actually help, Rachel suggested, a glint of determination in her eyes. Let us not let whatever's happening out there crush our spirits. Yeah, let us plan a big picnic right here, Kayla exclaimed, bouncing on her heels. There was something pure and contagious about her excitement. Emma felt her heart lift slightly. If they could hold on to these little moments, maybe they could weather the storm together. Ronald leaned closer again, his breath warm against her ear. What if we take them a little further away? Just until we get some clarity? Emma knew the look in his eyes. He was trying to protect them from the chaos gnawing at the edges of their safety. Yes, she wanted that too. But another part of her was frozen, grappling with the reality that things could change in seconds. Okay, she agreed, hesitation still threading her voice. But we keep close to the group. As they began to gather their things, the sound of sirens wailed in the distance, and a new sense of urgency rushed through Emma. What if they were taking this all too lightly? Ronald stayed close as they made their way toward a quieter corner of the park. The trees offered some shelter, but the tension hung in the air. Emma felt as if each passerby was looking around with wary eyes, seeking reassurance and familiarity, but finding only fear as they moved. Ronald slowed his pace until they fell behind Rachel and Kayla, the distance growing just enough to carve out a space for more candid conversation. "You're really worried." He stated it as a fact, not a question. "I can't help it. Every second feels like it could turn into something more." She looked back at the group, struggling with her emotions. "It's not just this. It's everything we've been through." The vulnerable feelings spooled tight between them, shimmering in the air. "Maybe we can face everything?" She turned to find his gaze, and in that moment something shifted. The barriers built by time and fears cracked open just a little. Could they really find a way back to each other, even amidst the chaos surrounding them? "There's something I need to tell you," Ronald started, voice low, cutting through the tension like a knife. Would this finally be the moment where the past and future collided? Would the truth bring them closer or push them apart this time? Before she could respond, the ground rumbled underfoot. A loud crack echoed nearby, and their focus jolted back to the world around them. The picnic idea seemed to fade, and the gravity of the moment settled heavily back in place. What was happening? The urgency of the moment clawed at her heart. Emma felt her breath quicken again. What were they about to face together, and was it truly the end of things before they even began? The ground trembled slightly again, sending ripples of panic through Emma. It felt as if the universe itself was shifting beneath their feet. Ronald looked at her, eyes wide with uncertainty, before pulling her closer, instinctively shielding her and Lily with his presence. "Stay calm. We need to keep moving," he urged, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. Both the anxiety in Emma's chest and the echo of laughter from the park seemed to fight for her attention. "Is this really happening?" she whispered, half to herself. The picnic dreams, the fragile connection, everything felt like it was teetering on the edge of collapse. But then a sudden clarity struck her. "All that matters is Lily," she said, shaking herself out of the spiral of fear. "We have to keep her safe." Ronald nodded, eyes flooded with acknowledgement. "We'll figure this out together. Just stay close." As they gathered Lily and Rachel with Kayla, the adrenaline pushed through Emma, sharpening her focus. The unity among them felt fragile yet powerful, a bond forming amidst the fear. "Let's head to my car," Ronald said, ushering everyone toward the parking lot, his arm wrapping protectively around Emma's shoulder. The sounds of hurried footsteps and distant sirens painted the urgency around them. But Emma thought about the connection they had shared, the late-night talks, the hope they were building. Together they reached the car, and once inside, the world quieted a little. The four of them huddled together, united, overwhelmed but safe for the moment. "Are we going home?" Lily asked, her wide eyes full of innocence, glimmering with questions. Emma knelt down, meeting her daughter's gaze. "Yes, sweet pea. But first we may need to wait until everything settles." Emma glanced back at Ronald. There was an understanding shared between them. They were two hurt souls standing on the same ground, holding their children close as they navigated the storm together. Rachel, facing the front with her daughter still in her arms, seemed to sense the shift too. "This isn't how I envisioned my day," she said wryly, a nervous smile breaking the tension. Ronald let out a small laugh, breaking the ice. "Well, it's certainly a story none of us will forget." Their laughter bubbled softly, a shield against the looming shadows outside. Emma watched the exchange, recognizing the possibility of camaraderie. It was in that moment of shared levity, amidst their worries, that Emma had a revelation. Their lives, their experiences, even the complicated pasts, none of it had to be a solitary journey. If they could embrace the struggles, they could build something different, something meaningful. She turned to Ronald, heart swelling with courage. "Maybe we can do this. All of us. Together." The look in Ronald's eyes brightened. Something changed in the air around them. "I want that too," he said, his voice imbued with newfound determination. "I'll do everything I can to support you both, through the chaos and the quiet moments." Once again, long-held fears wrapped themselves in a tight grip. But in the warmth of that vehicle, where two mothers and their children nestled close, Emma birthed a seed of hope. They were standing together, ready to confront whatever awaited them beyond the doors. "Do you think we can work it out?" Rachel asked quietly, the sincerity in her voice matching what they all felt. "I used to think everything could only be one way. But perhaps we can redefine things." Emma smiled, feeling radiant warmth against the chill of uncertainty. "Yes," she answered with conviction, glancing at each face in the car. "This is our chance for a fresh start. We're stronger together." Excitement filled the air around them and energy ignited by possibility. With each passing moment, they were one step closer to understanding, acceptance, and love. In time, the kids would giggle again, shrieking in delight at adventures yet to come. But for now they were safe, nestled in a familiar warmth, ready to step into tomorrow. As they sat in silence waiting for news, holding on to shared breaths and unspoken determination, Emma's heart swelled. Somehow everything felt different now. "Whatever happens next, we'll face it together," she finally declared, lifting her chin with confidence. Ronald, Rachel, and their girls nodded, their hearts beating in unison, embracing a new chapter of possibilities, one filled with adventure, laughter, and togetherness. This was their moment. This was only the beginning. Now for you, dear viewers, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to our channel so you don't miss the next heartwarming stories that inspire transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread this message of hope, togetherness, and new beginnings. I want to hear from you. Comment your thoughts on the ending. What do you feel about their journey? And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see that love can conquer all challenges. Don't wait not even one more second to share the inspiration we've found together.